Hello, everyone, and good afternoon. My name's Don Arleth, and you're watching Midday Report, where we're chasing the day's most important developing stories. So let's go ahead and get started. Former Polish Justice Minister Zbigniew Ziobro has been granted political asylum and international protection in Hungary after being accused of serious wrongdoing back home here in Poland. The decision is expected to further strain already tense relations between Warsaw and Budapest, as Polish prosecutors pursue multiple charges against him for being part of an alleged criminal organization.
Hungary granted political asylum to former Polish Justice Minister Zbigniew Ziobro, who had allegedly misused over 35 million euro of public funds during his time as the Justice Minister in the right-wing Law and Justice government. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk took to X to comment.
The former Minister of Justice, Mr. Ziobro, who was the mastermind of the political corruption system, has asked the government of Viktor Orban for political asylum. A logical choice.
Ziobro has remained in Hungary since October 2025, when Polish prosecutors brought 26 charges against him, including establishing and leading a criminal organization. He says the charges are politically motivated, accusing the current government of, quote, banditry and lawlessness.
I have decided to remain abroad until genuine guarantees of the rule of law are restored in Poland. I believe that instead of acquiescing to being silenced and subjected to a torrent of lies, which I would have no opportunity to refute, I can do more by fighting the mounting lawlessness in Poland.
Polish government officials deny Ziobro's accusations. They say the charges are a result of a 2-year-long investigation into irregularities in the Justice Fund, which was meant to aid victims of crimes.
This is a criminal case, not a political one. A very strange decision by the Hungarian state to use terms like political asylum about a person who has had 26 very serious charges brought against him. When the former Justice Minister flees, hides behind asylum, and instead of facing justice while charges of leading a criminal group are pending against him, this is simply cowardice.
Ziobro is not the first former minister of the Law and Justice government who has fled to Hungary. In 2024, Budapest granted political asylum to Marcin Romanowski, who was Poland's deputy justice minister serving under Zbigniew Ziobro between 2019 and 2023.
President Trump has announced he is considering a range of responses to the escalating unrest in Iran, including possible military action. This comes amid the regime's deadly crackdown on protesters that has reportedly killed hundreds. Trump also said that he plans to speak with billionaire Elon Musk about restoring internet access in Iran, which was taken offline by authorities 4 days ago.
There seem to be some people killed that aren't supposed to be killed. These are violent, if you call them leaders, I don't know if they're leaders or just they rule through violence. But we're looking at it very seriously. The military is looking at it, and we're looking at some very strong options. We'll make a determination. Well, we're going to be talking about that. We may get the internet going, if that's possible. We may speak to Elon, because as you know, he's very good at that kind of thing. He's got a very good company. So we may speak to Elon Musk. And in fact, I'm going to call him as soon as I'm finished with you.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio will meet with Danish and Greenlandic officials over the latter island's fate on Wednesday in Washington, according to Danish media. The meeting, which is yet to be officially announced, comes after Rubio said last week that President Trump is interested in purchasing the Danish territory. And according to Bloomberg and The Guardian, the UK and Germany are leading discussions with other European NATO members about boosting their military presence in Greenland. Our correspondent Sonia Gatapishchan is in London right now. Good afternoon, Sonia. So tell us, will there be a military showdown over Greenland?
Good afternoon, Don. It is not excluded that we will see a military showdown in Greenland. As you pointed out, together with European allies, the United Kingdom and Germany seem to be leading discussions on increasing military presence in the Arctic island. Now, we don't have a formal confirmation on that. However, more and more sources suggest that this could be the case. Aside from that, I was also in contact with the UK's Ministry of Defence over the past 2 days. They were rather cautious in providing any statements, pointing out that it is the Prime Minister's office that is leading action on Greenland. However, they did bring to my attention a few statements, including this one, and I quote, "The UK is committed to working with NATO allies to strengthen NATO's Arctic deterrence and defence." So this would be in line with the UK's increased interest in strengthening security in that area. And this comes amid Donald Trump's continued interest in the Arctic island. This interest is not new. Reportedly, Trump wanted to purchase Greenland already in 2019, but at the time he was told that the island was not for sale. However, this did little to stop Trump's appetite in the Arctic island. In fact, it seems to be growing by the day, and this is how he most recently described the reasons why it is the United States that should obtain Greenland.
If we don't take Greenland, Russia or China will, and I'm not letting that happen. If we don't take Greenland, Russia or China will take Greenland, and I am not going to let that happen.
Is there any deal they can offer you? Either like
Yeah, sure, I'd love to make a deal with them. It's easier. But one way or the other, we're going to have Greenland. No, I'm not. I haven't done that, but Greenland should make the deal because Greenland does not want to see Russia or China take over. They don't go there. It's very far away from Greenland. And Greenland, basically, their defense is 2 dog sleds. Do you know that? Do you know what their defense is? 2 dog sleds. In the meantime, you have Russian destroyers and submarines and China destroyers and submarines all over the place. We're not going to let that happen.
in the meantime, are you going
And if it affects NATO, then it affects NATO. But, you know, they need us much more than we need them. I will tell you that right now. No, look, we're talking about acquiring, not leasing, not having it short term. We're talking about acquiring.
Does that require
And if we don't do it, Russia or China will. And that's not going to happen when I'm president.
But indeed, it is not just the United States that is eyeing Greenland due to its strategic geographical position as well as mineral resources and potential in oil and gas. According to the NATO Supreme Allied Commander for Europe, Russia and China do have an interest in the Arctic, and this also warrants the vigilance of NATO.
As the ice recedes and there's more and more access up there, we certainly see Russia and China working together. We have had Chinese vessels patrolling with Russia, not only on the north coast of Russia, but also north of Alaska and near Canada. And like I mentioned in my remarks, it's not for peaceful purposes. They're not studying the seals and the polar bears. They're out there doing bathymetric surveys and trying to figure out how they can counter NATO capabilities on and under the sea. So that's something that could grow very quickly, and we need to be mindful of it and ready for it.
Just as a reminder, Greenland is semi-autonomous territory of Denmark, and to that, the UK Defence Secretary pointed out that as part of Denmark, the security of Greenland is guaranteed by all of NATO members. Back to you.
All right, Sonia Gatabishchan reporting there from London. Thanks for your report. Ukrainians are enduring extreme weather conditions as regional authorities struggle to maintain heat and power under frigid temperatures. Russia has once again weaponized the cold, deliberately targeting Ukraine's energy infrastructure. Our correspondent Oz Kataji is in Kyiv with more.
While there are still parts of Ukraine's capital Kyiv left without power, Russia once again launched a wave of drone strikes into Ukrainian territory in the early hours of Monday morning, with explosions being reported here in the capital of Kyiv around 1:30 in the morning on Monday. Now, following on from the Russian attack on the 9th of January, there are still large parts of the city left without power as of last night, as many as 1,000 apartment blocks still without power. So the Ukrainian authorities say they're working around the clock to try and restore that capacity. Prime Minister Yulia Sviridenko says that power should resume normal supply on the 15th of January, but that's if Russia doesn't continue to target energy infrastructure. And everything that we've seen over the last few weeks of this bitter winter cold, Russia has continued to target energy infrastructure, critical civilian infrastructure, making life very difficult for Ukrainian civilians dealing with these sub-zero temperatures. It's Oz Kataji reporting from Kyiv for TVP World.
Ukraine has struck 3 Russian drilling platforms in the Caspian Sea belonging to Russian oil giant Lukoil. Russia uses the platforms for oil and gas extraction. According to the Ukrainian General Staff, Ukrainian forces hit the Vladimir Filanovsky, Yuri Kochagin, and Valery Greifer platforms on Sunday. Footage released by Ukraine's Special Operations Forces shows the alleged attack. Oil and gas exports cover a major part of Russia's federal budget. They also play a key role in sustaining Russia's war efforts in Ukraine. Russian troops are attempting to advance in Ukraine's Kupiansk, one of the hotly contested cities in the east of the country. However, Ukrainian soldiers are putting up heavy resistance, with Vampire heavy bomber drones being one of the crucial weapon systems inflicting significant losses on enemy forces.
We were about 1.6 kilometers away. I saw them on a camera feed entering a neighboring village on mopeds. From there, only 2 fields were left between us. Finally, a glide bomb fell and leveled our position. I was just outside preparing ammunition. The glide bomb fell about 30 meters away. I was hit. We had to leave on foot because FPV drones would immediately destroy any means of transport. This machine is not designed to destroy infantry, but often we receive orders to hit 2 or 3 soldiers hiding in a basement, bunker, private house or garage. These buildings need to be opened so that FPV drones can get there. We need to review our methods. Everything has changed in 4 years. Unfortunately, the enemy is developing much faster than us. We are trying to catch up to the enemy rather than the other way around.
The U.S. diplomatic mission in Poland is one of Washington's most strategic locations anywhere in the world, according to Mark Brzezinski, the former U.S. ambassador to Poland. Brzezinski joined TVP World's Between the Lines to discuss Poland's role in the region and the priorities of the past mission of the U.S. ambassador.
America wants our partners to be strong. U.S. Mission Poland is one of our most strategic locations anywhere in the world, because what happens in Poland affects 14 countries in this region. The model of Poland, the steps Poland takes very much informs the Baltics, Czech Republic, Slovakia, and beyond. And so for me, pursuing certain values that would build resilience in this country was absolutely what my mission statement was.
Robert Lewandowski once again delivered a masterclass in finishing in Barcelona's thrilling 3-2 victory over Real Madrid in the Spanish Super Cup final.
Barcelona striker Robert Lewandowski scored in the Spanish Super Cup final against Real Madrid to help his team to a 3-2 victory over their arch-rivals. There are usually fireworks when the two teams clash, and the match, played in Saudi Arabia's King Abdullah Sports City Stadium, didn't disappoint, with a fast-paced and intense encounter. With the two sides level at 1-1 late in the first half, the Poland captain grabbed his goal with a sumptuous chip over the onrushing Madrid keeper, Thibaut Courtois. It was the Polish striker's 4th appearance in the Spanish Super Cup final, and he scored in all of them. Madrid equalised again to make it 2-2, but the Catalans took the lead for a third time through Brazilian Rafinha, who scored his second and ultimately Barcelona's winning goal in the 73rd minute. Lewandowski's contract with Barcelona runs out this summer, and with no extension on the table, there has been much speculation over his next move. He has been linked with a move to MLS side Chicago Fire, Italian club AC Milan, while clubs in the Saudi Pro League have also expressed interest.
And that's a wrap here on Midday Report. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.